and so on and so forth, until the Jean siblings had been able to rent out a small office space and hire help. Kenzie loved the advertising and marketing aspects of business and quickly realized it was something for which she had a knack. Suddenly, after 2 years in this role that had been incredibly lucrative for her and had given her 10 times the experience her peers had at her age, she felt pulled in a new direction, compelled to take a new path. A path that, maybe, no longer included Flex. But she didn't want to get ahead of herself. Quietly, without telling anyone, Kenzie had set about gathering her transcripts from NYU, filling out the application, and submitting it to her brother's alma mater. And she'd done it. She'd been accepted. It wasn't exactly surprising, but it was a weight off her shoulders. However, going back to school meant she'd have to make some lifestyle changes. For starters, while she was focusing on school, that would leave less time for Flex, which, in her opinion, wasn't a bad thing. In fact, it was the best thing. Kenzie felt urged to turn the page and enter a new chapter of her life. Without thinking twice, Kenzie lifted her phone and dialed a number, hoping the person she called wasn't with a patient. "Hello, Mackenzie." No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get her therapist to call her Kenzie. "I got in," she said, feigning calm. "That's wonderful," Dr. Matthews said. "I knew you would. But why don't you sound more excited?" "I have to tell Brent," Kenzie said with a sigh. "I think you need to give your brother more credit, Mackenzie. I know it's going to be an adjustment, but he's your brother. He loves you and wants what's best for you. I think he will be happy for me. Eventually. But when I tell him I'm leaving Flex, he won't take that well." The simple thought of telling her brother she wanted to leave the company they'd poured so much blood, sweat, and tears into had Kenzie's skin breaking out in hives. Her breath hitched, shadows appearing at the edges of her vision. She was quiet for long enough that Dr. Matthews understood what was happening, because she said, "It's okay, Mackenzie. Just breathe." Kenzie did as she was told, in and out slowly, making her inhales longer than her exhales, until she no longer felt like she was suffocating. Anxiety was such a bitch. "Look," Dr. Matthews said, and Kenzie perked up, ready for the wisdom the woman was about to drop. "I know I'm an advocate for always speaking your truth, but I know how heavily this weighs on you, and we're trying to combat your anxiety, not contribute to it. What if, for now, you simply tell him you want to step back from Flex while in school? That gives you some freedom, gets him used to the idea that you're leaving, and gives you time to figure out how to fully break from the company. Plus, who knows, maybe in 2 years you won't actually want to leave." Kenzie considered this, considered saying it was a terrible idea and that she would fight through her nerves to tell Brent now. But she couldn't ignore the weight that suddenly lifted off her chest with Dr. Matthews' suggestion, and she found herself agreeing with the idea. For now, she'd make do with a half-truth. "I'm going back to school," Kenzie announced at dinner that night, then braced herself for the explosion. She, Brent, Berkeley, and Berkeley's best friend Lexi were gathered around the table in Brent and Berkeley's dining room, a spread of chicken Alfredo, garlic bread, salad, and soup laid out in front of them. The 3 of them stared at Kenzie as though she'd sprouted a second head, and to her surprise, it was Lexi who recovered first. "That's great, Kenz. Where are you going to go?" "Your alma mater," she said proudly. "You got into state?" Berkeley asked, her smile growing to match the one stretching across Kenzie's face. "Sure did," she said. "I start classes in the fall."